Welcome to Tales from the Tips. If you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and hit that subscribe button. Grab some friends, put your own foursome together. Heck, do 8. Who cares? Bring your friends, right?
Yeah, bring them all.
You can find every episode where you find your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and also available on the Odyssey app. Just download from the Google Play or Apple Store and download Tales from the Tips.
What he said.
I'm DA. That is 15-year tour caddy, Mick Middlemo. We're just a couple guys that love to talk about the game of golf from a little bit of a different perspective, both inside and outside the ropes. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready, buddy.
Let's grip it and rip it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Episode 3. We're halfway home.
We made the cut.
We did. We made the cut.
Third round.
Q school. We are in qual school right now in podcast world.
Yeah, we are. You did say that on the last episode.
I did.
And that gave me chills again thinking about
I'm sorry.
Q schools.
You need an emotional
No, I'm
support
good.
pet?
I'm good.
or
I just
anything
have
like that? Maybe some,
memories of being out
maybe
in
some more
Palms, being out and about in Palm Springs and doing
more
all the
tattoos
courses.
to help you over there?
I'm getting some more.
Okay.
No doubt.
We'll document it. Right now we're standing. Tattoo count is at 27.
27 tattoos I have, yes.
And counting.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure he has none.
So before we get into this week's episode, which is part 2 of the story that made you famous, infamous, all around a global name.
Yep, for a little while.
Not the reason why you and I are friends, by the way.
No.
We discussed how you and I got to know each other in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, though, I'm sorry. How are you doing? You last time you had a hamstring injury.
It's still sore.
You still hurt?
And I still can't play golf. Nothing. It's going to put me out for 3 weeks, at least. At least 3 weeks.
You haven't even no chipping, putting, nothing.
Nothing.
Just drink.
Just trying to drink it away.
Just drinking away.
Yeah, actually, it still hurts a little bit. It's right there.
I bet. I mean,
at my age, you shouldn't be doing
hitting 2 irons at your age. It's a fantastic idea.
You'll see. I'll hit my 2-iron past your driver. You'll see.
Okay. Bet's on.
You'll see.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I should just swing one-handed and we'll...
Okay.
There'll be a time. We'll get out there.
It'll be documented. You'll see it.
We do need to get out and play because we have not. We're getting into the comfortable season here in Georgia where it's actually enjoyable to be out on a golf course.
You know I like the heat.
I love the heat. I do. 95 degrees in dead humidity is not my idea of fun.
Yeah, I like it. I prefer to play. I just don't like playing golf. I don't like it when it drops below 70 degrees. I'm sorry, I like hot weather.
Well, I give me mid 70s and I'm fine.
Mid 90s. I'd much prefer to play golf when it's mid 90s and mid 70s.
Like playing. You're going. I'm burning through gloves. I'm sweating. No, I just give me comfortable 75, even low 80s. I'll take low 80s.
I don't like air conditioning.
You don't. I know. We've talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast.
I used to have trouble getting roommates as a caddy because I don't like sleeping with air conditioning on.
Yeah, you've told me this. We do, by the way, just for our listening audience, we do a lot of our prep at local establishments.
Sounds like he's been at one already.
Yeah, right? Right. Yeah.
No, I don't like air conditioning. I don't like sleeping with air conditioning on. When I caddied, I would come back to the room and the housekeepers would turn the AC on and it's like 65 in the room. I would just turn it off.
Yeah, that's too cold.
I would turn it off and never turn it back on. And I would wake up at 85 degrees in the morning and I'm happy as. I just don't like AC. It's just not my thing. And the thing about it is, like, obviously when you're married, I mean, the wife always wants the AC on, so I can sleep with on, but I prefer not.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yes, happy house, happy spouse.
Yep.
Yeah. So
you're 0 for 3 there.
I'm 0 for 3. Yeah. Not going very well.
Heed the advice.
Heed the advice. Yeah. So I just don't like sleeping with it on.
Okay.
It's weird.
Well, no, not weird. It's just different. I again, we'll have to get out to play.
Yes.
Because this is, there's 2 seasons here in Georgia for tournaments and outings. Mm-hmm. The spring and the fall.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into the fall season of tournaments, and we'll get out together. We've got enough.
We've got a few weeks to wait till Mick gets heels up.
Well, maybe work on your 2-iron while you're at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One-legged.
So the reason kind of what we're talking about, though, is right now it is the talk of a lot of different shows around the country. I mean, sports talk. You've got your golf talk channels. Slow play.
Ugh.
I know, and that is the one that's why I don't play on weekends. 6.5 hour round on the week. Talk about not wanting to play in heat. I don't want to play in heat and sit for 6.5 hours out on a golf course.
You can drink a lot of beer in 6.5 hours on a golf course.
Yeah, but that's...
Which is funny enough, because I really don't drink much when I play golf.
I don't. Neither do I.
No, I very rarely do.
It's just, I think just through all the years, you're out there for a social occasion, or you're out there, I'm a competitive blank.
Yeah.
I hate to lose, period.
Well, we shouldn't play golf together then. There's my first needle.
That's okay. We always know, just put your money where your mouth is at that point. But no matter what I do, business, even my wife tells me I'm too competitive with our girls, even when we're playing like cards or board games.
Do you like to cheat when you play Uno against your girls?
I don't cheat. That's you asking for a breakfast ball over there.
That's an American rule. Hey, I just do what you guys tell me to do.
Oh, okay. So now it's our fault.
Correct.
Okay. When in doubt,
we don't have those in Australia.
When in doubt, just blame an American.
Correct. We don't have those in Australia.
No?
We call mulligans cheating.
Got it. Okay. So slow play.
Yeah, I hate it. It's the worst. The worst. And there's some events on tour where it's nearly okay. Like if you play at Pebble Beach and you're playing with celebrities and stuff like that, and the weather's bad, and it's going to be 6.5 hours of torture.
So there's really 2 tournaments a year though, because we've talked about it. You were PGA Tour. You were a caddy over on the European Tour, Australian Tour. Obviously Dunhill is a massive one over in Europe.
Yeah. And it's
playing 3 of the most iconic courses over there, and then you got Pebble in the spring. Technically still winter.
Kind of the spring.
Yeah.
I think I've probably caddied at Pebble maybe 7 or 8 times in that event, and I think we've had good weather maybe twice. Yeah. It's rough out there.
It's the rainy season.
It's rough out there. And so I said, I've been lucky enough I was paired with Bill Murray twice. And it's fun. It's amazing. But, boy, it's slow.
Yeah.
It's just slow.
What are we talking? Are we talking like... Because a normal tour event is 4.5, 5 hours for a round. When you have three guys,
should be, yeah.
Shorter when you have the 2.
Yep.
Obviously, a pro-am is a different animal, and that tournament. What are you talking about when you're talking timeline on that?
On like Pebble Beach?
Yeah,
6 hours.
6 hours.
6-hour rounds of golf, absolutely. And then same at Spyglass and Monterey Peninsula. Yeah, it's the same because you're playing in 4s. You've got 2 amateurs who are going to slow you down.
Amateurs.
Who are going to slow you down a little bit and stuff like that. So it was funny. Like my second wife, I love these wife stories.
It's well documented.
I mean, I'd be gone. Like I go play golf. I'm gone for 7 hours, 7.5, 8 hours. And one day and she knew nothing about golf when she met me. So one day we're just sitting there watching the telecast, and they're like, "Well, it's been really slow out here today. It's been 5 hours." And she looks at me and she's like, 5 hours for a round of golf. She goes, "Well, why does it take you 7? And I'm like, "Well, they're really good. That's why it only takes them 5 hours."
What, did you not explain that you have to cool down? Warm up. There's a warm up and cool down.
She should have known that by. She should have known that by then. You're coming home a little tipsy.
Our warm up and cool down is the bar.
Yeah, and then she finally caught on a little bit. Then I did the wrong thing by buying her golf clubs and stuff like that, so she would want to come and play golf with me, which was a bad decision.
This is what led to ex-wife number 2.
Yeah,
she actually saw you.
Yeah, actually, I'll go from one real quick story. Like the first hole she ever birdied, like she knocked it on. She knocked it on this little par 3. She knocked it on there, and she holes like a 30-footer for birdie. Like she just gets up and putts it. It goes in for birdie, and she was all excited. Well, I was on the back of the green. I was chipping. So I was like, all right, just let me chip this. So I chip it, and it goes in. And she was so mad at me that I stole her thunder. You just couldn't let me win one hole, could you? Like, she was, like, bent out of shape. Like, that I birdied the same hole.
She wasn't excited for you for chipping it in?
Not at all. She just thought that I'd stolen her thunder. Like you did that
You
deliberately.
do know that you're playing your own ball.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this. Out of all the guys that you, and gals that you've carried for, have you ever had a slow player?
Oh, that I've caddied for?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Greg Owen, unbelievable talent, like I've always said, and great guy, great friend of mine. He was a little slower around the greens.
Yeah.
Very methodical on the greens because putting wasn't his strength, so he was a little more methodical. But no, on the tee and irons and stuff like that.
But in
Daniel
comparison-
Chopra, like laser, and Daniel and Jared Lyle, some quickest players ever. Here's a yardage, okay, hit it.
So let's go back to Greg. Mm-hmm. Because I totally understand. I wish I spent more time around the greens going slower. I just want to get done. Just get me out of here. When you were with him, was that intentional or was it more just like...
No, definitely not intentional. He couldn't tell you how long he lined up for and putts like that, what he was doing. No, it was never intentional to be slow. No.
Where is his, in comparison to the guys now, where would he rank? Right in the middle or...
Oh, he'd be in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, he was very methodical on the greens. I mean, the thing about reading greens is like, you start walking up on the green and you're already starting to look at the slopes and stuff like that. You don't wait till you get on the green and then look. You start walking up on the green and you're like, well, there's my ball. Okay, I can already see a ridge from this side. So you're reading it from one side, then you go and read it. Greg would read it from every angle, which was probably what slowed it down a little bit. Like I said, very methodical. But I mean, he busted his butt. I mean, he really wanted.
Did he ever bring you in?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because now it's getting. I mean, and obviously we've been around this game for a lot longer than we probably want to admit.
Yeah.
It's changed over the last several years, a couple of years really. The caddies are getting more involved in the actual reading of putts.
Oh yeah.
Where physically they're behind the plate. Now there's rules.
Yes.
You have to step away and you have to move and the player has to move.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is good for the game or...
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's just the slow player hate is when you're in the middle of the fairway. And you're waiting to hit a shot in there, and the thing about it is like the other guy's already hit his shot, or you're waiting for someone on the green.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're waiting for somebody on the green, you already know what you're going to be hitting because I've given the yardage. We've discussed where the flag is. We've got all that down. We know where the wind is. That's the only thing we're waiting on, just in case there's a variable there. You should be ready to go. And then all of a sudden, some guys would be like, "No, the green's cleared. Okay, what have I got? Now what have I got?" I'm like, "You just had 5 minutes to figure that out.
Yeah.
Why are you asking now?" That would drive me insane on the golf course. It's just be ready to go. And there were some really slow.
Well, I
players
love
when
the
was
ones
out
that will stand on the green and start counting backwards from the
there.
green.
Yeah, as amateurs. Oh yeah, I like the guys who miss a 2-foot putt thinking they're playing in the US Open, so then they drop another ball out of their pocket. Why they've got another ball in their pocket, I'll never know. I've never done it. Don't understand it. Well, I know why they do it because then they'll find one in the rough. But then they'll drop a ball down and then they have another practice putt. And I'm like. Then they stand, like you said, they stand on the side of the green, then they count back how many, shots. I'm like, can we go? Yeah. Can we just can you get off the green? Can you do that on the next hole? I mean, there's times I just want to
just do it on the cart ride.
There's times I just want to just ping one right at him, and I may have done that.
You've done that. I think we've all done it.
Yeah, I have done that, but I'm not that accurate, so they shouldn't be too scared.
Well, I always say the safest place on the course is right next to the pin.
Oh yeah, right next. Yeah, I'm not going to hit it.
Yeah. Worst player that you've ever seen?
Slowest?
Yeah, slowest.
Oh, Ben Crane, by far. Lovely guy.
One of the nicest guys, though.
You couldn't meet a nicer guy. I mean, I remember going to a Kansas City Royals game, Yankees game, when we were out there. I called him. I was like, hey, can you get me tickets? Because he was really good friends with Mark Teixeira. I think they grew up together. He's like, yeah, I got you. So, but he'd do anything for you. But, oh, my God, painful on the golf course. Painful. So I think there's the clip when he was playing with Rory Sabatini when Sabo was quick and not the nicest man in the world, although I got on great with Sabo. He would hit his shot and then he would just go walk down on the green because he knew by the time he got to the green, Ben still wouldn't be ready to hit. And he'd be standing on the green waiting for Ben to hit. I think it's on the YouTube. Yeah, it was like that's how slow he was. He was painful. Kevin Na's another one that was painful when he was going through his regrip stage and stuff like that.
So you've told me that story. Because it was one of my... I mean, he's one of my favorite players, by the way.
He's again a great guy. But when he was going through his regrip issue, a little bit like Sergio going through his regrip, but Sergio wasn't as bad as Kevin Na. And I can't remember. We're in Thailand or Malaysia in the Malaysian Open 16th hole, and I'm caddying for Daniel Chopra. And I got Daly's in the group with us.
So it's
and
you, Daly, and Na.
Michael Campbell. No, Michael Campbell.
Oh.
Kevin Na was in front of us. Kevin Na was in front of us. And we're on this par 5, 16th hole. And Kevin Na's up by the green, and he's messing around. I think he get a rules official for something, and Daly's bombed one down there. You know, we've already laid up. Daly's like bombed one down there. He's waiting for the green to clear. And Kevin Na's on the side of the green, and he's regripping. And I'm like, this is going to take forever. And Daly's getting red. Like, he's getting mad.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Na finally finishes the hole, and they haven't even walked off the green, and Daly's let it loose. And it's gone 100 yards left of the green. It hasn't come close to touching the green. And now he's really mad because he's had to wait so long. So we get on the next tee. And there's probably 300-400 people watching us and stuff like that. Well, Kevin Na's in front of us, regripping, and Daly's like, now he's like incensed. And I'm playing with two guys who are pretty chill. Michael Campbell, who won a US Open, he's chill, from New Zealand. And Daniel, he's kind of laughing.
Just Daniel.
He's just laughing because you can see Daly's getting angrier and angrier. Well, halfway through, like, Kevin Na's still regripping. Well, Daly at the top of his voice just lets one. Like, screams it out. Like, you can hear this all over the golf course.
Yeah.
Right. And every time I see John, we'd laugh about this. Sort of, he turns around and sort of snaps his head back and is like, what's going on like that? And Daly's girlfriend was down there. He's still girlfriend. They said something about Daly. And so when we finished the round, we're in the cart, we pick her up, and she's like, yeah, that guy, their caddy and Kevin Na were mouthing off about you, and Daly was in what they say. So as they're coming out of the scorer's hut, we're walking in, and Daly confronts him. Like, they go at it, screaming at each other. Well, we get pushed into like this little room. There's a little side room there. So, and for some reason, I get pushed in with them. So there's me, Daly, Kevin Na, and his caddy. That's it. And they're just like, and so they hashed it out. But I was like, this is gonna be an all-in brawl here, and I'm right in the middle of this. Like, you're
just getting involved.
I just ended up in the room for some reason. I was like, but they hashed it out. They spoke about it, and they're pretty cool. But yeah, that was a pretty wild one. But slow play, it wears me out. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So,
well, here we go. I know where this one's going, Leo.
Let me just get the right facts, because I don't want to misspeak. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm looking at a headline here.
Yeah.
July 2015, the RBC Canadian Open.
Ooh, Glen Abbey, beautiful golf course.
Glen Abbey,
beautiful golf course.
You're fired that day in the first round.
I was never fired. I can.
I
will give you. I would say, and
not according to that. Caddy whacked is a term for caddy fired.
Yeah, it says
that's headlines in Australia.
It definitely says in the media that
you got fired.
I was fired. Yeah, I was. I can 1,000% tell you that I was never fired that day. Never. Well, I never got fired on the golf course. If I had been fired on the golf course, I would have walked off right then and there.
So okay.
Doesn't that make sense?
Well, it does make sense. And
why would I get fired and finish the round?
We've, as our listeners get to know, we have some conversations about these things in advance, and you and I have gotten to know each other for the last year together.
Yep.
I've heard the story. You've never told the full story.
No, never.
You've told bits and pieces to media. I mean, and as it's unfolded, and you clarified with a good friend of yours, Michael Collins, the truth of that day. Mm-hmm. So why don't you, in its entirety, walk us through it? Because it's the first round. It's not even like
first round.
It's not like you guys have been battling back and forth all weekend, and he's stressed out or this or that. Now let's take it a couple steps back. How has he been playing leading up to RBC?
Terrible.
So January. Let's recap this for the listening. He's allegedly abducted. Thrown in the back of a trunk after being in a wine bar for several hours. You were not there. He was not there. We've gone through this whole story. We've gotten through it. We've gone to the waste management. Not playing well at this point.
No.
How many cuts have we made? Roughly?
I think it was 3 we made together.
So you haven't even. You're not making any money either.
No, it wasn't any. I think one was at Hilton Head. I can't remember where else. We might have made 2 or 3. It wasn't many. He was playing badly. So I could sense a little bit of animosity coming into that week, and a few weeks prior, I could feel it.
So I was good. So that's really kind of where I wanted it to start this. When did you start getting a sense? Because for all of us that are in the business world or been in a job, you start knowing pretty. At a certain point, you know when you're on the hot seat. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When did you know that you were on the hot seat, and then when did you go, okay, I'm going to be looking for employment because this isn't.
There was one event, and I really hadn't put much thought into this, and again, you and I we'd spoken about this, and then last night I was really starting to think about it. I think it happened at the not the Tour Championship, the Players.
Okay.
He was playing
March.
Yeah.
Or March, April. At that time, it was
probably,
was that?
It might have been April.
May?
It might have been April. Was it a couple of events?
May or
yeah, I think it might have been in May.
Okay.
But,
before they moved it back.
But he hit a ball in the water on 17 there.
Oh, the Island Green.
Yeah, and we were indecisive about clubs, and he hit 9-iron, and it hit right on the very back of the bunker that's at the front there.
Yeah.
And caught the downslope, and it shot it all the way across the green, and it went in the water. If they had been a little bit left, it would have been on the green. But funny enough is, on TV, they had a stat that came up and said Robert Allenby has never hit a ball in the water on 17 in 42 attempts or something like that. So on number 43, I helped him put it in the water.
Good. Take that
I don't
badge.
think that really... I think that might have been the... And I was only thinking about this last night when I knew I was coming to do this. That
you
may
never
have,
told me that.
No, because it really... And I thought about it last night, and I was like, yeah, maybe that was the start of it.
Was that after Jameson number 4 or 5?
No. I had very rarely never drank before I went and caddied.
No, I'm just saying last night when you were thinking
about
it.
Last night? Yeah, no, it might have been Jameson number 4 or 5. We celebrated a good friend's birthday last night, so yeah, we had a few. And so the week of the Canadian Open, he was really quiet, a little bit very grumpy. The practice round was miserable. Miserable. And so So what happened? He was very short with me. He was like not talking, didn't want to talk about anything really. Like, I would drop some golf balls down, say, you want to chip them from here? He's like, well, why am I chipping golf balls from here? I'm not going to hit it here in the tournament. Whereas before he would like, yeah, because it's not so much, I'm not going to hit it there in the tournament. You're just practicing chipping, to a front pin or a back pin or something like that. A lot of the times when you're practicing, you don't hit it to the flag that's out there for a practice day. You're going to hit it to I'll go and throw some markers in and go hit it to here because that's where the pin's going to be on, Friday.
Right.
So let's just practice chipping to that area. But he wanted nothing to do with that. He was grumpy on the putting green. He was putting, and if he hold a putt, I'll just pick the ball out of the hole and throw it back to him so he keep putting. And he's like, "Get off the green. Just let me do this by myself."
That's not normal.
That's not normal.
And I ask these questions, and I'm going to say stuff just to let you know. Like, most of us have never been at a PGA Tour event, wouldn't know what it's like to be inside the ropes. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to kind of stop you every now and then just to kind of bring you back, because our listening audience wants to hear these things. Yeah. Now, I know this because and I've been together for a while, so it's kind of interesting to hear, because this isn't normal behavior.
No.
I mean,
because again, I want him to chip to a certain area and stuff like, hey, let's chip it to a certain area because this is where the flag's going to be. I've got the pin positions from where they were last year, so they're probably going to be in the same, very close to the same position.
Yeah, because the tour lays out
front left, front right, back left, back right.
Right.
It's not like
you may be a pace or two left, right, back, forward. Yeah.
So you know where the flags are. So you're like, hey, if you do happen to hit it to this spot, let's just practice this chip up the hill or whatever. You see which way it's going to break. I'll be writing it down so we know on the day. So, hey, it breaks a little bit right to left if you're not sure, because I've seen it.
Yeah.
But he wanted nothing to do with that. And then on the putting green, he wanted nothing to do with that. So he's out there putting. So I go walk over to Scott Vale, who was caddying for Snedeker at the time. And I'm like, this could be a rough week. The boy's in the mood. And I basically said to him, I don't think I'm long for this one. This guy's wearing me out. So little did I know it was going to be 2 hours later.
I was just about to say, two and a half hours later, you were
2.5 hours later.
You were back at the clubhouse.
I was, yeah.
So you tee off. Now this is the interesting part, because I went back and looked. You started out pretty well.
Birdie.
Birdie.
Birdie bogey.
Birdie bogey.
Yep.
But
and then now, it all went.
Now this is where and this is honestly where you say if you were going to get fired, this is where you were going to get fired.
Yeah, if he had told me I was fired, then I would have walked off the golf course after 4 holes.
Right.
But
But he's planning on firing you afterwards.
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're on hole number 4.
Mm-hmm. Par 5.
Par 5.
Yeah.
What happens?
I love this story. He hits it way right, gets a break. It was close to out of bounds.
Yeah.
Hits an iron. I think it was a 4-iron, something like. Gets himself in pretty good position, and then I think we're about 135 yards out, par 5 into the wind, water in front of the green. So I give him the yardage, and we start talking about clubs. And at this stage of his career, he was hitting a lot of knockdown shots. He would, and he said I didn't caddy for him a lot, but I was told that he sort of went to these little knockdown shots that he would hit, like these little spinners that you could hit in there and stuff like that.
Stop and check. And, yeah.
So at first I give him the yardage, and we were talking about hitting a 9-iron. I'm like, well, there's no chance 9-iron's getting there if that's what you want to do. And so we ended up hitting 8. There was never ever a conversation about a 7-iron, never. And that was another thing that came out. Yep. He said, he wanted to talk 7-iron. I talked him out of it. It's garbage. And the 7-iron never got mentioned. So he hit 8-iron, and he hit this little squeeze, a little trappy shot, and just gets up into the wind and just straight in the water. Well, the next thing you know, this club comes winging past me, like my ankles, and I was like, whoa, just threw a club at me. Yeah. I'm like, I'll put up with a lot on the golf course. That's the first player that's ever thrown a club at me.
First and last.
Yeah. And so I said to him, hey, mate, if you're literally going to throw clubs at me, why don't you just go get a caddy out of the parking lot? Because I don't deserve that. And that's when he called me. He said something in the lines of, you fat C word.
C word.
C word.
The C word.
Not my favorite. Well, I don't mind it. I don't mind it, but it's like...
Not when in context that you're...
No. And I was like, dude, don't ever call me that again. And he said it again.
Intentionally.
So now, 100%.
Yeah, he's trying to... Yeah, now he's trying to...
So now I take about 2 or 3 steps towards him. I'm like, I dare you to call me that again. Like, I'm death glaring him. Like, I dare you to call me that again. And now at this stage, like, everyone on the golf course is like... Simon Clark, who's in the group, is a caddy. Great mate of mine from Australia. He heard... Everyone heard everything.
Yeah.
So he's looking at me like, oh, boy, here we go. Because I'm not one for taking too much of a backward step, I can assure you.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, I dare you to call me that again. And he said nothing. So he just gets his ball, hits the next one on the green and whatever. So I go to the green, trying to do the professional thing, go to clean the ball, in the towel, and he's like, get away from me. And he said it again. I was like, all right, cool. And I go to the back of the green, and Simon Clark goes, you going to walk off? I'm like, oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. 9 holes, I'm done. You don't call me that on the golf course. I'm done. And so he basically is like filthy mad. Like, we go to the next tee, and I'm like, wind is coming in off the right. He's like, don't talk to me for the rest of the round. I do not want to hear one word come out of your mouth for the rest of the round. And I'm like, cool, this is going to be a fun day. So he pulls it left off the tee, goes into a fairway bunker. So I walk down there with him and just stand there. Just stand there.
You're just carrying a bag at this point.
Just stand there, drop the bag down. He goes, what's the yardage? I'm like, you told me not to talk to you. He goes, this is what you do for the rest of this round. You give me a yardage to the front of the green, and I'll do the rest. I'm like, cool. 135 meters. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, because you're not paying attention.
And then
at this point.
I'm kind of I kind of walk to a sprinkler head and have half of.
So I'm gonna pause.
Yeah.
You just said meters.
Yeah, he plays in meters.
So
I still play in meters. I've been here 30 years. I still play in meters.
Which is fine. Yeah. It's just that's not normal out on the tour if you're not European or
yeah.
Because everything's measured in yards.
Yeah, and a lot of the times I would have to.
You're converting.
I'd convert my yardage books every time I got them. I would convert all the numbers in there from yards to meters.
Yeah.
So I would do that all the time, and some of that was a pain in the butt too, because if you're playing like, for instance, the courses at Pebble, there's 3 courses. I'm changing 3 different yardage books.
Yeah.
You know, at Palm Springs, I would change 4 different yardage books. You know, so
everybody thinks it's just such a glamorous job.
Very, very time consuming. I think they actually sell books in meters now. I think they've.
Caught up.
I think they've actually gone out there. So
I'm waiting for you guys to get digital books out
exactly.
there.
Yeah, that'll be next. Well, lasers are next. So,
you think the USGA is ever going to approve lasers?
Yeah, they will eventually. Yeah.
So as technology gets better and better, I think the least likely they will. Well, they've cut the green books out that were so well put together that you can't use those anymore. So, yeah,
I don't know, but he's like, don't talk to me for the rest of the round. So I give him a yardage, knocks on the green and stuff. So I'm just giving him yardages basically for that's it. And then we come to the 18th hole, which is our 9th par 5. Very short par 5, it's blowing hurricanes, down breeze. So he smashes a driver down there, and I go and give him yardage, and he pulls 9 iron out, and I'm like, that ain't enough, club. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah.
There's no way 9 iron's enough. Well, he hits it, and it hits the rocks right in front of the green, goes all the way over the back of the green into the bunker on the downslope. And it's like a tough shot, because all you can see is the green, and then there's water. So he hits it, it goes across the green, and it's about 3 inches away from going in the water. It's in the hazard. So he walks down there, and he pulls I think it was the 5-wood or a rescue or something out, and he puts it down behind the ball and touches the ground.
Oopsies.
And I'm like, that's a 2-shot penalty.
So you're telling him this?
Oh, I told him straight up.
But you're not allowed to talk to him.
Yeah, I was like, but that's a 2-shot penalty. Well, it's just because I knew I was done after that hole,
Right.
so maybe throw the last little needle in, I don't know. But I'm like, it's a 2-shot penalty. And for grounding your club. So he's furious. And he ends up making 8 on the hole or something like that. And we're standing on the back of the green, and I know I'm getting ready to leave. And he goes, I'm going to get a caddy fight on the PGA Tour today.
There it is.
And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what did you say? He goes, you heard me, you FC.
Okay.
Well, when are we going? I was like, cool, done. So, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm done. Please don't forget your keys. Don't forget your wallet. Don't forget.
Yeah, because all your belongings are in his bag.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I got to get all my stuff out. So I made sure I got my wallet, keys, all that sort of stuff, and a laser. And so, yeah, and he starts walking off about 20 yards ahead of me, and then I just take the bib off and I yell at him. I'm like, hey, you might need these. And that was it. I just walked off.
And you just walked off.
Yeah. And he picked up the bag, carried it to the first, and I guess there was a spectator there saying, where's your caddy? And he's like, he just walked off. So I guess this spectator jumped on the bag and away he went. And I guess he hit his first tee shot down there and realised he didn't have a yardage book, so he asked for a rules official. The rules official comes out and he says, hey, my caddy's walked off. I don't have a yardage book. And they were like,
tough cookies.
Yeah, bad luck. It's not on us to get you a yardage book. You should have had one. So, and
nowadays, more and more players are carrying a book.
Oh yeah. There's a lot more now. I mean, like when I came,
analytics is a whole different thing,
like
even comparably to 7 years ago.
Yeah, like I mean, Daniel I caddied for never carried a yardage book. Greg Owen never carried a yardage book. Jared Lowell never did. Towards the end, maybe. There's a lot of them that didn't. They just let you do your yardages, and that's my job. So,
right.
And then they would go and do it. So I mean, after it, I just went to the rules officials and I told them I'd walked off the course, and they had a little chuckle about it. And then I went into the caddy area, which is a really nice one at Glen Abbey, and a lot of them are like, aren't you supposed to be on the course? I'm like, yeah, I kind of cut it short today. Just a little 9 holes today.
Just a niner?
Just a little 9 holes.
Short
Just
loop.
a little chicken run 9 holes, and then I was done. Yeah, walked off and explained what had happened, and then I just went back to my hotel room.
Yeah.
And then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, because then at that point you're getting phone calls from media once again.
I got a phone call from Golf Channel, and Golf Channel wanted nothing to do with Robert Allenby after the whole Hawaii thing. So Golf Channel calls me and goes, what happened out there today? Because he just basically said that you threatened to beat him up in the parking lot and you were rude out there to him. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, he had a press conference basically saying you threatened him and why he didn't have a caddy. So they were asking, and I'm like, I never threatened to beat him up. I said, this is what he called me, and I walked off the course. That was it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Well, they're like, we're not going to run with the story because we're sick of Robert Allenby. So, well, 30 minutes later, Rex Hoggard calls me back and goes, hey, this is really catching some steam in Australia especially. So now I'm getting some text messages from Australia. So, again, I reach out to my media people in Australia. Go, this is what happened. This is how it went down. I was not fired on the golf course, I can assure you. I quit after 9 holes, and I will stand on that forever. He never fired me on the golf. If he had fired me on that hole, I would have walked off then and there.
Yeah.
So I do some media stuff back in Australia and tell them, what had happened, and then Golf Channel really, again, come out. So I tell them the story, and then now it's all blowing up again and stuff like that. So, but I'm like, I'm just going to get on a plane. I'm going to change my flight. I'm going to drive back to Buffalo because I always flew into Buffalo.
Yeah.
When over there, I'm going to go back to Buffalo, try to change my flight, which I couldn't do. So we just go out drinking with the boys that night, and everyone's having a bit of a chuckle about it and stuff like that. The good thing is that he actually paid me in advance that week for some reason.
Oh,
he actually, so I didn't actually have to ask for any money from him because he probably wouldn't have. I don't know whether he would have paid me or not, but he'd given me the $2,000 the week before I left. Yeah. So that worked out well. I still got paid. But then, so we go out drinking, and I'm getting phone calls again from the media. What happened? And then, do you want to tell me what happened in Hawaii? Do you have any thoughts on Hawaii? Because Hawaii was always going to come up, and I'm like, nothing to say. Nothing to say. Well, about 12 beers deep, I get a phone call from the Herald Sun in Australia. and that's like the leading newspaper where my parents grew up in Melbourne. And they're like, "Do you want to tell us your thoughts on Hawaii?" I went, "Yep, damn straight I will." So like I said, I'm 12 beers deep, and I'm like, "Yep, it's all garbage.
Yep.
I think he fell over. There's no truth to the rumor whatsoever." And they're like, "Would you tell us this face to face?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I would." Or you want to do it over the phone? We'll do it over the phone. We'll get back to you. Well, I get a phone call the next day. It's the same people, and they're like, "Are you still interested in doing it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Well, they sent 2 reporters out from Australia. I'm thinking we were going to do this on the phone.
Yeah.
So I get a phone call 2 days later. I didn't know this at the time. I get another phone call 2 days later.
Because you're still stuck.
Yeah, I couldn't
get out.
I couldn't change my flights. It was too expensive.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just stay in Canada and hang out for a little bit. So I get a phone call, and it's the media again. It's the Herald Sun again, and they're like, "Hey, when can we do this?" And I'm like, "Well, I can do it now if you like." They're like, No, we're in your bar in Kennesaw." At that stage, I was a part owner of a bar in Kennesaw. I owned 30% of this place, and they're like, "No, we're at your bar." I'm like, "Your what?" And they're like, yeah, we flew in here. We want to talk to you about this. I'm like, this can't be good. So anyway, and the funny part about this story is that I'm driving back across the border. I haven't even told you this one.
No.
So I'm driving back across the border, and I'm, your passport, green card, all that sort of stuff. And the guy's like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "Yeah, I was a caddy." And he goes, "Oh, you caddied at the Canadian Open?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's cool." He goes, "I'm a big golf guy." He goes, was that a caddy that walked off the golf course? I'm like, "Yeah, that was actually me." And he's like, "No." And so then he looks up. So then he gets out and he gets a photo with me. So I'm like standing at the border crossing.
So now you're a celebrity.
Now I'm standing at the border crossing, getting a photo taken with the customs agents getting his photo taken with me. It was hilarious. So then I go back to this bar in Buffalo, and again, the golf's on. They're talking about it. So some people start asking about it. I'm like, "Yeah, that was me," and get more photos and things like that. So it was kind of wild. But so, yeah, I get back to Kennesaw, and, yeah, these people are meeting with me, and I just told them what I thought, that I think he fell over. I don't think there was any truth to the rumor, any truth to the story whatsoever, that he was kidnapped, mugged, bashed, or robbed. And that's probably the first time I've really come out and said that. So let's see how that one goes down.
Yeah. So have you spoken to him since?
One time. One time only. Our good buddy Jared Lyle, who passed away, I spoke at his memorial service 6 years ago when he passed. I was out there. I flew back to Australia for it. There was 5 guest speakers, 2 of his friends, one of the guys who started Challenge, Robert, and myself.
Okay.
Challenge is the
foundation.
The Leukemia Foundation. Yeah, it's a great foundation. They raise a lot of money for kids with leukemia. It's a great foundation. And so, we had to sit on the stage together, and the night before we were having a few drinks, and Glenn Joyner, who got me into caddying, he unfortunately passed away a year ago. He kind of tried to broker a deal, a peace offering between the two of us. So we sat and we had a few beers. We just talked about nothing really. We didn't talk about Sony. We didn't talk about the
Certainly
Canadian.
weren't talking about the...
No, we weren't going to talk about any of that stuff. There was none of that brought up at all. We just had a few beers, and well, then he was renting a house down there. I was staying on the resort. So I get a phone call back to my hotel room, and it's Robert saying, "Hey, come on, come back to the house. Let's just bury all this. Let's get back to the house, have a few beers." And I'm like, "Nah, it's not going to happen."
Yeah,
I wanted nothing to do with it happening. So Glenn even called me and said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Look, I'm here for memorial service because I know what he's like when he gets drunk. If he says something dumb, I might finish off what I really wanted to do." So I just stayed in the hotel room and stuff, and that was the only time I'd spoken to him. And then he was on one hole because they played a charity day that next day, raising money. He was on one hole hitting shots all day, and I played in the last group wearing Jared's bib and carried his clubs. Actually used his clubs. And so we got to that last hole, and that was the last time I'd spoken to him. He said, "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "Hey, good. How you doing?" That was it. So, do I ever want to see him again? Not really.
Yeah.
No, he said some pretty nasty things about me. He threatened to send messages to my wife saying that I cheated on her on the golf when I was on tour and stuff like that.
Well, you guys were out, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I sent all those texts to the PGA Tour to make sure they stopped and things like that. So, yeah, is there animosity? Absolutely, 100%. There's still animosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the guy.
So sounds like he's definitely not in the phone book anymore. Is
no, I think the funny part about it is that
probably is in your phone still, probably.
No, I don't believe so. I'll have to get Leo to look. Yeah. So when I went to caddy for Michelle Wee, she flew me down to Orlando, and then I drove to the Medalist Club where she was at.
Yeah.
And I'm down there and meet Michelle, and we go to the range, and Robert Allenby's there. And I saw him get out of his car.
So you already knew he was there.
Yeah, I saw him get out. I'm like, what are the chances?
Right.
And then the guy from the clubhouse comes out. We start talking, and I'm like, does he play here all the time? He's like, no, we haven't seen him here for like a year. And so it's just the one day I'm there, Robert Allenby's there.
Unique.
So I go to the range with Michelle Wee, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and this is pre me going back to Australia to speak at
Okay.
He's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and he's playing with Richard S. Johnson, a little guy from Sweden, a great guy, and I know Richard really, really well. And he's like, he's terrified that you're here. He doesn't know why you're here. And I said, well, I'm caddying for Michelle Wee now. He's like, he is not happy that you're here.
So you're in his head.
Oh, 100%. And then I saw Richard after the round, and like, so how'd that go? He's like, he couldn't hit a shot for the first 7 holes. He was just like, he was just so confused while you were here. It was like, because there was no reason for you to be here.
Right.
And there wasn't.
Right.
But yeah, he was, I may have got that one on him. Hopefully he lost a little bit of money on the course that day.
There you go. Well, so next time,
Yep.
we're going to talk about one of your best friends, JT.
Which one?
Thanks for teeing it up with us. Hope your drives are short. Your putts are, whoa. No.
Your drives are short.
Yeah, no, you're hitting the 2-iron.
Pass your driver.
We hope your drives are long, your putts are short, and your scores are low. Thanks for teeing it up with us on Tales from the Tips. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.